Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris, and if you're watching this, you've most likely seen the 2018 horror film, The Nun. If you haven't, please click away. This is going to be completely spoiler-filled, but if you decide to stay and avoid watching this film and spending your hard-earned money, I'm not gonna blame you. But jumping right into The Nun. So by the end of The Nun, we see Father Burek and Sister Irene defeat the evil presence of Valak, also known as the Nun, by using the blood of Jesus Christ to spit it in her face and vanquish her from the grounds of the Abbey Church. And at this point, you're probably sitting back wondering, I think I have to get gas on the way home. Because this horror film is going to leave you unsatisfied and most likely having you check out by the third time Snake Boy shows up in the movie. Either way, I'll be explaining the ending of the movie and its overall connection to the Conjuring universe, being that this is the 5th film in that franchise. So when the movie starts off, we see two nuns are exploring the basement of the Abbey Church. They're in search of a relic that they believe can vanquish this evil spirit in their church and get rid of it completely. However, in the process of trying to get this thing, Valak the Nun shows up to kill them. In entering this room, the first nun retrieves a key that'll lead them to open the door to the relic they need to vanquish Valak. Not being able to survive though, she hands off the key to the last surviving nun of the Abbey Church and tells her she knows what she must do. She begins to run off into her bedroom, open a window, and tie a noose around her neck. And looking behind her, she sees Valak is coming in close and decides to make a sacrifice and commit suicide. Now I'm gonna pause here real quick. So isn't committing suicide in the church a sin and makes you go to hell? But if she were to be captured by Valak, her soul would be damned to torture by this demon spirit? Well, damn, it sucks to suck, sister. Moving on from there, we flash forward just a few days, and a farmer nicknamed Frenchie discovers the body with the key in hand and decides to alert authorities. And of course, authorities back in the 1950s in Romania was the good people of the church. The council of this church decide to pick Father Burek to go investigate this church, see what needs to be done, if everything is okay. Oh, and by the way, can you take this other person with you? We haven't really said her vows yet. She's trying to become a nun, so why don't you just kill two birds with one stone? Who has not yet said her vows of becoming a nun, and she seems to be a bit of a trouble in her sister house, showing that she's showing science and open-minded thought to the children in this church. What an evil person, right? Teaching kids to open their minds to the outer world? No wonder she gets haunted. And from here we see them start to explore the church. Frenchie comes along with them and does some exposition telling us this place has always been haunted. There's always stuff going on. The horses don't want to pass this point. Just all the cliches built up to let you know that these grounds are haunted. In entering the church, they come in contact with a woman who's fully covered, claims to be a nun, and tells them if they'd like to speak to the other nuns in this church, they must wait till tomorrow morning. So of course, agreeing to this, they spend a night in this church, allowing us to get some more exposition and character development into their lives. It is here where Father Burek explained to us that he's a little bit tormented because in his past he did an exorcism on a little boy. This little boy was definitely haunted, and Father Burek was able to take the demon out of the kid, but the kid's body just did not survive the exorcism, leaving him feeling guilty and question his own practices if it's even worth attempting to save somebody when it's gone that far. On the other side of that, Sister Irene tries to one-up him by saying, "Oh, really? Well, I have visions." It's from here we get a very obvious foreshadowing where Sister That's So Raven reveals to us that a constant reoccurrence in her dreams and visions is Mary points the way. And watching that, you're thinking, well, I'm sure that's not going to come into play at all. That's just pretty interesting that she has that vision. From here on, we're treated to a few more scares, some creative, some that we've seen before, but the main thing we want to focus on is Sister Irene finally makes contact with some of the nuns that are staying at this Abbey Church. It's here where she is informed that they do believe that the grounds is haunted, so haunted in fact that they keep one nun praying on a continuous loop just to ward off evil spirits. Not just that, but another sister sits her down and explains to them why the grounds are haunted. It's here where we get the little 2-minute scene exploring Valak's origin story that is not very well done, but I'll explain it to you anyways. Apparently many years ago, a duke that owned the Abbey Church was very prolific in satanic worshipping and trying to summon demons. It looks at one point he succeeded, but the Knights of Ren come in, vanquish his plans by having some good old Jesus blood on them, which I'm sure was in every convenience store back in the medieval times. With this Jesus blood, they were able to seal off the portal of this evil spirit, but we flash forward a couple years in time and war has been happening and a missile that's been striking the church let out the demon. Sister Irene realizes that they're on some serious crack here at this abbey church, but before she can even ask for some, another sister warns her that she should leave the grounds and not be around them. But of course, this is a horror movie and we don't listen to those kinds of things here, leading us again to a few segments of scares, thrills, camera works, all mainly focusing on the fact of their hidden fears that they bring up in the film. With Father Brooke, we have the fact that he feels guilty about the exorcism on the little boy he did, so thus throughout the film we see this little boy come and haunt him. The character Frenchie is dealing with the fact that he saw a nun being hanged and bleeding, so of course we see zombies and nuns hanging from a noose, and Sister Irene dealing with the nun herself as sort of a metaphor for her exploration of, I have a science and open-minded mind, but at the same time a strong belief in God and wanting to commit my life to him. I'm just caught in this balance, and that's what the nun sorta is a metaphor for to Sister Irene. So in the final 15 to 20 minutes of the film, when Sister Irene notices all the sisters praying at once because the evil spirit is really starting to take over the abbey church. It's here where it's actually revealed that there were never any nuns in the church to begin with, at least none of the ones that Sister Irene was seeing. It's likely her visions having a strong presence on her, being able to detect these spirits that were killed in the haunted church, all along trying to warn her, trying to inform her of what's going on, and trying to protect her. Piecing all those puzzles together that she needs to get the relic, the blood of Christ, that the nun at the very beginning was trying to get before she committed suicide. She informs Father Burek and Frenchie to go out and find this thing. They lead to the same place the nuns at the beginning were, which was the basement, and following her, of course, foreshadowings that came to fruition, Mother Mary points the way. They find the key slot to open and find Jesus Christ's blood. But before they can go after her and use the stuff on her, Valak goes one by one to each cast member in hopes to depower them. Father Burek by bringing out Snake Boy, Frenchie by attacking him and putting a little seed of her in him, and lastly the nun trying to get Sister Irene. But right when it looks like Valak is about to get the blood of Christ sealing her faith in this church and continuing her haunting, we are reminded of the great old rule that nuns spit, not swallow. And that really just brings us all full circle with the nun as a story. Now the little end credit scene, or I guess just ending of the movie, ties everything together. We find out that Frenchie is actually named Maurice, and several years later he's actually going to become a patient of the Warrens. They visit him in hopes to give him an exorcism and vanquish him of a demon inside them, not knowing that it's Valak and a presence that will plant her seed in Lorraine Warren, thus leading us to The Conjuring 2. Man, I hope I did a good job of explaining that for you guys, because this film was just sort of crazy, and the fact that it was not that interesting sort of made it hard to follow all the little story beats, all the little details, and make this video for you guys. So I apologize if it's not as concrete as my other videos, but I did my best and try to add some humor in there for you. Touching upon some things that connected to the other Conjuring movies, of course we see at the beginning that they show Ed and Lorraine Warren, just to remind the audience this is a Conjuring movie, guys, so look out for clues. We are also again reminded at the very end with a very obvious connection to the other movies, just to really remind you guys, if you didn't know, this is still a Conjuring movie all the way through. I know it wasn't as good as the other ones, but it's still a Conjuring movie. Not only that, but the picture that we see in Annabelle 2, where we get a little hint of the nun in the background, we can see that picture hanging in Sister Irene's room when she's unpacking. Other than that, there's not really many other connections or hints to future movies. The only thing I will point out is I have a strong feeling that Snake Boy, the thing that was haunting Father Burek, is not something that was really meant to be connected to the nun story. I believe that is something in the sense of a Crooked Man or Annabelle, where it was in the Conjuring movies, as sort of a hint to, let's see if audiences like this. Let's put a little haunted boy with a snake that comes out of his mouth. People like that, we'll give that guy his spin-off movie. But being that this film is not very well liked by critics, or really even by me, who's a huge fan of these Conjuring movies, I don't think we're gonna see the origins of Snake Boy in the Conjuring universe anytime soon. So this film was sort of to explain its origins, its starting, and they literally used it as a throwaway line. It went from satanic guy, blood of Jesus Christ, and missiles in modern day to revive her. That is just such a crazy thing to put together in a 1 minute, 2 minute scene and say, accept that, that's her origins, let's continue on. And it's crazy because the Abbey Church is an actual haunted place, at least it is in real life. If you can look it up in Romania, the Abbey Church is an actual place you can tour around, and supposedly suspicious activity happens in this church. Now it's mainly having to do with monks, that previously lived there, also some nuns, but it was mainly with monks and the way they secluded themselves from society. The things that went on in this place was sort of mysterious and are the reason why it's kind of haunted, because the people that died there are buried in the grounds of the area. And it just shows how crazy they made up this story for the nun. I have no idea why they brought the blood of Jesus Christ into this. That part of the movie honestly felt like something you would see out of an Indiana Jones movie, something that he'd be searching for to put in a museum. But the fact that they put that in a movie and then that's the key weapon to use to kill this demon, and the way she used it was putting it in her mouth and spitting it out, I just remember sitting in the theater and thinking to myself, that's gonna offend somebody. Not me, but it's gonna offend somebody. And then you also have the fact that the main character's sister Irene was given visions. I guess just sort of to keep up the theme that the females in these movies can have visions. It wasn't really even explained or told why, and her whole point of having these visions was her reoccurring foreshadowing that Mother Mary points the way. When we finally get to the scene where it's very obvious because the light is hitting Mother Mary's finger into a keyhole, she doesn't even remember this one recurring vision she has. It's Father Burek who has to remind her. It's like, hey, look at this. Mother Mary points the way. You don't remember? That's your whole purpose in this movie and you don't remember. God. And it also upset me why I actually enjoyed parts of the Frenchie character. Some of his jokes landed, some of the stuff he did make me laugh. Other times his jokes did not completely land. But when you come to find out his only purpose in this movie was so that they can tie him to the Conjuring universe at the very end, it was pretty obvious that this character really did not need to be in this movie and you only had one purpose for him. So you just shoehorned him into the movie. But anyways guys, that's just my explanation, overall deeper meaning for The Nun. If you got around to seeing this film, let me know what you thought about it. Any deeper meanings in this film? Any clues that I missed? Please let me know down below. Please be sure to also follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. Subscribe and like this video. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.